Shrimp Creole today on the Cajun Cooks. Today, the Cajun Cooks will cook shrimp Creole. Very popular dish in New Orleans, but I thought the Cajun Cooks was Cajun. What's Cajun about shrimp Creole? I'll explain in the kitchen. So let's head off to the kitchen and start cooking my version of shrimp Creole. So welcome to the kitchen, and today I'm going to cook shrimp Creole. But this is a Cajun cooking show. Are we going Creole? Well, it's going to be a little bit of both. So one difference I mentioned in a previous show between Cajun and Creole cooking was the inclusion of tomato. And there's going to be some tomato in shrimp Creole. Another difference is how a roux is made. In Creole cooking, a roux is typically made with butter and flour. In Cajun cooking, we usually use oil and flour. I am making a roux and I am using oil and flour. So there we go, the Cajun element to my shrimp Creole. So let's go through the list of ingredients. I have them assembled here. So I'm going to make a roux with a half cup of peanut oil and a half cup of flour. I'm going to then saute an onion, 2 stalks of celery, and a green pepper that I have finely chopped. I'm going to throw in 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to then, once I've made my roux, I'm going with the brown roux here. So this is shellfish stock that I made myself, and it's been heating up a little bit on the stovetop. That's ready to roll. I think I have about 4 cups of shellfish stock that I'm going to use in this after I make my roux. I'm going to add a cup of tomato sauce, a cup and a half of diced tomato. At the end, once all that is simmered, I have 2 pounds of shrimp that I've lightly seasoned with some Creole spice and a pinch of cayenne pepper. And then at the end, I'm going to put in the shrimp with some green onions and some parsley. Let's start, and of course we have to make that roux. I'm going with the brown roux, light brown roux, so it won't be that dark roux that I made with the gumbo. Go ahead and revisit that video if you want to see the various colors and various stages. This one won't take 35 minutes, about 15. So I'm going to go ahead and heat up my Dutch oven. And of course we know this takes a little bit of time. I have a glass of wine ready to go because I'll be stirring for about 15 minutes. And of course, at the end of the show, we have some Virginia wines to pair with shrimp Creole. So let's get started. And remember, we start a roux to get the pot warm, but we want to turn the flame down to low, and we don't go any higher than that. A burnt roux is a burnt roux, and you've got to start all over again. This one's easy. All right, so I think this is hot enough. In goes a half cup of oil. And I'll let the oil warm up a bit. Turning this down to low. I'm going to whisk in half cup of flour. And that's all incorporated. So I'm going to take about 15 minutes to get this up to a light brown stage. The cameraman will join me in about 15 minutes. Pour yourself a glass of wine. See you in a few.
A few moments later.
Alright, so if the cameraman wants to come and have a peek in the pot, this is the color I'm going for. And now I am going to, and notice my flame's on low. Going to toss in my vegetables. These will saute for about 5 minutes. Adding my garlic. And I season my vegetables with a little bit of Creole seasoning and some salt. And about a minute away from pouring in some of my stock, we're going to boil this through. All right, so now I am ready to add in my stock. And remember, I'm going to add just a little bit at a time. And I'll guess that's about a cup or two of shellfish stock. I had 4 cups warming up. And that's coming together quite nicely, I think. All right, so now I've incorporated about 3 cups of shellfish stock, and you can see this is starting to boil. Remember, after I make a roux, I want this to boil together so that all the ingredients come together so they look smooth. So this will boil for a few minutes, and when that's done, I'm going to add my tomato products. Welcome back to the kitchen. So now I have boiled my roux and my stock, so it's all come together quite nicely. And that took about 10 or 15 minutes. Now we're going to put the Creole into the Creole dish here. So I've moved my pot to my simmer burner because I really want this to simmer rather than boil on a heavy flame. So I'm adding my tomato sauce. And I'm going to add my diced tomatoes, 1.5 cups, or 14.5 ounce can. There we go. And I'm going to give that a stir. And that is coming together quite nicely. Look at that. All right, so now I'm going to add some of my spices. I'm going to toss in a bay leaf and of course cayenne pepper. Let's see, let's start with 1/8 teaspoon. I'm going with a little more. All right. 1/4 teaspoon of that. You can adjust as you see fit. I like my Cajun cooking a little spicy. Not too hot, but spicy. Some salt. Black pepper. Some hot sauce. Yay for hot sauce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're cooking for guests who may not like spicy food, cut back on the heat. Tablespoon of Worcestershire. A sprinkle of Cajun spice. And I have gotten a couple of questions about my Cajun spice. Next time I make this, I will break down the ingredients and let you know. And I will use some dry thyme. And let's go with 1/4 teaspoon of that. Maybe a pinch more. All right, I think that's pretty good. All right, so things are coming together. So I'm going to let this simmer another 20 minutes. I'll add in my shrimp, my parsley, my green onions. Let that go for another 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to put on a small pot of rice. You want to have shrimp Creole with rice. So I'll get the rice going. See you in a few minutes.
A few moments later.
Welcome back to the kitchen. So my shrimp Creole, if the cameraman wants to have a look here, look at that. Right, so this has been simmering for the last 20 minutes. Now I'm going to add my shrimp. 2 pounds of shrimp, lightly seasoned. I season everything. And let me grab a pot holder here. So this should be the consistency of a stew. And I can tell this needs a little bit more liquid because we want to cook the shrimp. I have another cup of seafood stock on reserve. There we go, I like that. And I'm going to add some parsley, green onions. I also sampled this earlier for seasonings. It needed a little more salt, another dash of Cajun seasonings, but it was good to go. I'm going to mix this together. This is on my simmer burner, and I'm going to raise the heat on this to medium so that the shrimp can cook through. 20 more minutes we'll be eating. See you then. Now it's time to serve the shrimp Creole. So how do you serve shrimp Creole? Well, if you're having a dinner party and you want to impress your friends with this, you would spoon rice into something like this, make a dome with it, serve the Creole around, a pinch of parsley, bring it to the table, and you've got an elegant plate. However, it's just me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ladle in my shrimp Creole. Notice I didn't cover this at any point because you really want this to be a stew. You don't want it to really boil or steam. And then it's too thin. This is just right. And I'm going to take a spoon of rice, kind of dump it on top. I'll get a little fancy and give myself a pinch of parsley. There we have it, shrimp Creole. Now, what wines are we going to serve? Let's go to the dining room and find out. What local wines do you serve with shrimp Creole? So let's discuss local wines that I would pair with shrimp Creole. Let's start with red wines. Yes, red wines with shrimp Creole. And this is Spark from Hark Vineyards 2018, a blend of mostly Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot. A.J. Greeley, the winemaker there, recommended this, and I think this would be an excellent pairing. This is from 2018. Gewürztraminer, yes, in Virginia, yes, Virginia, they make Gewürztraminer there. So this is from Afton Mountain, 2022. This is probably a popular choice with shrimp Creole. We have some cayenne pepper going on, some tomato, and Grey Ghost Vineyards also does Gewürztraminer. Not widely planted here in Virginia, but both Afton Mountain and Grey Ghost Vineyards do an excellent job with Gewürztraminer. This too is from the 2022 vintage. This is not wine, but I'll be adding a drop of cayenne hot pepper sauce to my shrimp Creole. In the meantime, if you enjoyed the show, you learned something about shrimp Creole with the Cajun twist. Remember, subscribe, thumbs up, and enjoy some shrimp Creole. I'm Warren Richard, and the Cajun Cooks.